Well, welcome back to Cardboard Meditation. I'm the big guy, and this is the second segment about giving thanks and showing appreciation and counting your blessings because, as you'll see, there are no guarantees in life. We're going to take a look at 3 cards featuring players that left the game and us a little too early. When someone passes away, it kind of reminds us of our own mortality. It's a powerful emotion, so let's harness that power and reflect on our own priorities and how time is very, very precious. And we'll do that right after this.
Hey, baseball fan. Time for a little self-care and a few minutes of cardboard meditation. Welcome to the show that features some of baseball's oddest stories and the cardboard slabs that document them. Find peace and joy through baseball cards with your host, the big guy.
We're going to take a look at 3 cards of players that surpassed hundreds of other, perhaps thousands of other ball players, and against all odds made it to the major leagues. Now, once they've achieved their dream, these 3 guys, well, fate dealt them each most unfairly. Okay, let's start by saying, just so it doesn't come as a surprise, all 3 of these players died before they could fulfill their Major League Baseball role. But they did leave some amazing legacies behind, and I think it's worthwhile to visit those legacies. So today, let's show some thanks for the memories of their contribution, and thanks for our own health and the health of our families. The first story is that of Steve Macko. Now, unlike most people, Steve had an up-close and personal relationship with Major League Baseball. He was a bat boy for the Texas Rangers. His father, Joe Macko, well, he played and coached in the minors and was a long-time clubhouse manager for the Rangers. Steve had the love of the game, and it was baked right into him from the start. He was an All-American at Baylor University and was part of the team that went to the College World Series in 1977. He impressed the Chicago Cubs so much, they made him their 5th-round selection in the draft. Now, he was called on for duty in 1979 and again in 1980. And during the 1980 campaign, he was playing in a doubleheader. And in the first game, he had a collision with Bill Madlock. And he received a really, really bad bruise. Now, later in the doubleheader, he hit a double, knocked in a run, but just couldn't run the bases. So they had to put in a pinch runner for him. Macko never played a game in the major leagues after that game. Doctors discovered he had testicular cancer, and he died of the disease on November 15, 1981. Now, Bishop Dunn Catholic School, which was the prep school that he attended, dedicated their baseball field in his name. Baylor University inducted Macko into the Baylor Athletics Hall of Fame in 1988 and dedicated the Steve Macko locker room at Baylor Ballpark. Macko was inducted into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame in 2017. That's quite an enduring legacy for a guy that really just didn't make much of a spark in the big leagues, but you can see how well he was loved. Now, another guy with a lasting legacy would be that of Ken Hubbs. I first saw the card about 1975 as I worked on my 1964 set. And what card would that be? Well, this one. Now, I'd never seen an in memoriam card before. And except for maybe that 1959 Roy Campanella Symbol of Courage card, number 550 in 1959. But I wondered, who is Ken Hubbs? What happened? So I checked on his playing days and found out that he was the 1962 Rookie of the Year. And he was also named Rookie of the Year by the Sporting News and received 120 votes. Hubbs was a defensive player that was not to be stopped. And as a rookie, he set major league records with 78 consecutive games and 400 total chances without an error, breaking Bobby Doerr's major league record in both categories. Hubbs became the first rookie to win a Gold Glove award. Now, during the 1962 season, Cubs owner Philip Wrigley called Hubbs into his office, tore up his existing contract, and doubled his salary. Things were looking up for Ken, but then things started to go bad. Hubbs, weirdly, who had a fear of flying, received his pilot's license in 1964, January of that year. So on February 12th, Hubbs flew from California to Provo, Utah, with his friend Denny Doyle to surprise Doyle's wife because Denny and his wife had just had their first child. Hubbs attempted to beat a snowstorm that was supposed to be blowing in, So that was going to happen on February 13th. So he and Doyle decided to try and get ahead of it and took off in their little red and white Cessna 172 from Provo Airport. Now, Hubbs didn't file a flight plan, but he did tell the airport staff where he was going and how he was going to get there. He said that he would be flying to Morrow Field near Colton, California. Well, as it turns out, Euless Hubbs, Ken's father, reported that they had not arrived in Colton by Friday the 14th. So that set off a big search in the areas of Utah, Nevada, and California along a possible flight plan. There was no radio contact with Hubbs after the takeoff, so that prompted Utah's Civil Aeronautics Director, Harlan Bement, to suspect that maybe the plane is fairly close. Well, after checking, they did find the wreckage a quarter-mile south of Bird Island in Utah Lake, right there in Utah. They didn't get far. Ken and Denny had both died. The air temperature that night was -1 degrees with a lot of snow. Hubbs' funeral was held just several days later in his hometown of Colton, California. Fellow Cubs Ron Santo, Ernie Banks, Glenn Hobie, and Don Elston were among the pallbearers. Everybody loved Ken. Newspapers around the country wrote flowing prose about the player and the man. Chicago Mayor Daley stated he'd be proud to have him as a son. And Lou Boudreau, who was the Cubs radio announcer at the time, said, "At the time he died, I felt he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career." Hubbs is celebrated even to this day, with parks named after him and his own Little League in Colton, California. Now, in the early 1950s, the streets of Boston, and for that matter all surrounding New England, vibrated with excitement as the versatile and talented All-American Harry Aganis, fresh out of Boston College, was scheduled to start history playing for the Boston Red Sox. Now, Harry was a homegrown star right there in Massachusetts, one of 7 kids of Greek immigrants. He was athletic, intelligent, and handsome. It doesn't hurt. He was a 2-sport athlete playing both football and baseball. He set records at Boston College and was even drafted by Cleveland Browns coach Paul Brown. But he turned him down to play for Tom Yawkey's Red Sox in 1952. The Golden Greek, as he became known, was ready to ascend to his spot as the king of New England sports. He started his baseball career with AAA Louisville, where he hit .281, had 23 home runs, and 108 RBIs. And he started his pro career on April 13th, 1954. Now, in that year, he hit 11 home runs, 57 RBIs, and had a .251 batting average. Now, as 1955 rolled around, he had to kind of fight for his position against Norm Zauchen. The Red Sox were 7.5 games out of first place, and he had to play as tough as he could every day just to stay competitive. But there was a problem. Harry just wasn't feeling well. He was having coughing spells and severe pain in his right side, and after trainer Harry Fadden detected a fever, Aganis was admitted to the Santa Maria Hospital in Cambridge. The team physician, Dr. Timothy Lamphere, diagnosed pneumonia in the right lung, and Harry remained hospitalized for 10 days. Now, Aganis came back by May 27th, but he didn't play. He appeared weak and pale, and his cough persisted, and he was perspiring heavily. Harry lost his position for a while to Zauchen, but he got another start just a few days later. Even though he got the start, he was still ill and getting worse. Harry was hospitalized for 2 weeks with pneumonia, and he rejoined the Red Sox for a single week before being rehospitalized, and he had a viral infection. After showing some signs of recovery, he died from a pulmonary embolism on June 27th. All of New England mourned. GM Joe Cronin said Harry was a great athlete, a grand boy, and a credit to sports. Manager Mike Higgins was equally stunned. He had made it. "I thought he was going to be our first baseman for 10 years to come," he said. The future was so bright. This young man had talent to spare and a quality of character, and he was here one moment, gone the next. Harry left an incredible legacy. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1974. And in 1995, Gaffney Street, near the former site of Braves Field in Boston, was renamed Harry Aganis Way. The Aganis Arena is a multi-purpose sports facility in Boston University. The Harry Aganis Stadium, located on Camp Lejeune, was named in his honor. And the Aganis Foundation awards millions of dollars in college scholarships. And there were many more accolades that followed this man long after his death. Like I'd said before, it's really important now to be grateful and thankful because there aren't any guarantees for tomorrow. You know, James Dean, the actor, well, he once said, "Dream as if you'll live forever. Live as though you'll die today." It's time to be thankful and grateful for everything you have and that of your family and friends as well, especially when it comes to health. Yeah, and I'm thankful for you, for your viewership and your friendship. Now, if you can, please click on that thumb icon and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd certainly appreciate that. Take care. Talk soon.
Cardboard meditation helps set your mind right. Thank you for watching. Show us your appreciation by clicking the like and subscribe button. Ring the bell while you're at it so you'll know when we upload a new story.